Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Streamed and Screened, an entertainment podcast about movies and TV from Lee Enterprises. I'm Terry Lipschitz, managing editor of National Newsroom at Lee and co-host of the program with the professor, Bruce Miller, editor of the Sioux City Journal and a longtime entertainment reporter. And you're back, but you are like literally a professor. I mean, that is your side gig.
I have taught for 40 years at a private Catholic college here in Sioux City called Briarcliff University. And this began my 41st year. There was a talk that I wouldn't come back for a 41st year, but I'm back.
You're back.
And it's fascinating. You know, as much as we do a lot of different things, get a chance to see a lot of different things and talk to people. The presidential campaign, we've had an opportunity to talk to a lot of those people. But it really, for me, is fun to talk to kids. And I enjoy getting into the classroom and finding out where they are and seeing what they are interested in.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what they are interested in. You can't pull a kid away from a phone. I think you would have a major battle on your hands if you said the phones are going to be put away, because I've had them use it for everything. They, instead of writing notes in class, for example, they'll hold the phone up to the blackboard or the whiteboard or whatever, and just take a picture of it. So they don't have to write the notes. They have listened to, I've had people cheat too by listening to their phones where they have recorded all of the answers. And I think, gee, that'd take more time than studying, wouldn't it? But yeah. So there are things I learned from them, and it's great. But I thought we could talk about school on television, because we're getting a new show called English Teacher that will be starting next week. And I think it's pretty good. Abbott Elementary holds down the fort for television shows about school. But there have been a lot. When you look back, I have a thing in my life where I realized there was one show that I didn't want to watch the last episode to.
Which is that?
Friday Night Lights. Love that show so much. Friday, even to these days, if you said to me, Clear Eyes, Full Hearts, Can't Lose, I'd start crying. That's how much that show meant to me. And what do I know about football? Nothing. So you realize that it wasn't about football. But I held off. I had the last episode because they sent them to you in advance. And I kept thinking, I should watch this tonight. Tonight should be my night that I say goodbye. And even after it aired on television, I couldn't watch the last episode until quite a bit later, because it did feel like I was saying goodbye to the characters. Now, there's always talk that they will revive Friday Night Lights and it'll come back in some form, or we'll see the actors come back as something. But yeah, that was one. And I'm just shocked that was one that had that impact on me. Is there one for you?
Yeah, actually, How I Met Your Mother. Because the characters in that show are roughly my age. It took place in New York City, which is my hometown. I grew up in New Jersey, but I was born in New York, and I actually worked for a while in New York City, so I'm very attached to the city. And I felt like it was a show that, even though I didn't like live the life of those, characters, so to speak, I felt very connected to them because it was just speaking more to my generation. Pop culture references. I was disappointed with the last season with, it was like a whole season at the wedding.
It was,
and then of course
about flip-flopping too in the end, I thought.
Yeah, the finale of that show let me down a little bit also, because I felt like I've been here for so long and that's not the ending I wanted. And you know what, I kind of along your lines here, I have all the DVDs. Like I used to buy a lot of DVDs. I don't anymore, but I have the entire series of How I Met Your Mother on DVD. And I've kind of like gone back and rewatched episodes over time. On the final season of How I Met Your Mother in the DVD collection, there is the alternate final episode. Like they filmed two different versions of the finale. There's the one that aired, and then there's like the one that did not air. I have not yet watched that, and I keep saying it, and it's kind of like with you, where I feel like I want to watch it to see what the alternative situation could have been. But I love that show so much that I just like, I know once I watch that, then that's it, you know. And they that reboot on Hulu, the How I Met Your Father, just was not good, and it got canceled, and now we're stuck never knowing.
Right. You know, the final season of How I Met Your Mother, we went to the set,
Oh yeah,
and we had drinks at the bar, and they did borrow some of the elements from that for the second series. So if you looked closely, you might be able to see things that you recognize.
yeah.
But
They had like one. I think they had one episode that popped into McLaren's, the bar, and they had a few of the actors like periodically. I think if the show kept going, they ultimately would have brought cameos in for everybody. But you know, we got a little bit of Barney and a little bit of, you know, like each of them kind of. There was what 2, 3 of them made guest appearances, and of course the show took place at the same apartment, which was a little odd.
yeah, that's creepy.
That is.
But it ends up they extended the first series too long.
Yeah.
And then the thirst for a second series wasn't there, and they took a while to get it all going.
And they missed it.
You know, I think the window was closed when the time. There was a survey done of favorite TV teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you suppose tops the list?
Oh, geez. Oh, man. I don't even know.
Walter White from Breaking Bad.
Oh, really? Yeah, he could. That's a great chemistry. I mean, teaches you how to make money through math. I mean, it's not legal, but
right. But maybe
in economics.
Whenever they do these kinds of surveys, and I wish I could tell you where it was from, it's of that generation that's taking the survey. It is not like our Miss Brooks, and suddenly, oh yes, she will be the all-time one. Mrs. Krabappel from Simpsons is on the list.
Okay. Yeah.
Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World is on the list.
Okay.
Mr. Schuster from Glee, and of course, Mr. Carter from Welcome Back, Kotter is
You're dating yourself. Who's the principal from Saved by the Bell? Like, I would think he was kind of an...
Yeah, Dennis Haskins played him, and Mr. Belding was the character.
Yeah, Mr. Belding. There you go.
Yeah.
But we're talking teachers, not school administrators.
Right. We've got to be clear about these things. Sue Sylvester would not make the list probably because she was a coach.
That's
so
right.
I don't know if that qualifies. But yeah, did you watch shows religiously as a kid that were about school?
You know, I watched. Yeah.
Would you
trying to think?
Saved by the Bell was
Saved by the Bell was there. What was that show? Was it 8 is Enough or something? That was, who was the one? He was the high school gym teacher. And
that was the it was like 10 and counting or something like that.
Yeah, one of those. I can't remember off the top of my head. Like, I watched that one. There was always elements of school, but I don't recall like ever watching, other than really Saved by the Bell. I don't really recall watching a school show. There was one other one that I could think of that was sort of schoolish, was Parker Lewis Can't Lose, which was it was sort of a spin-off of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, sort of like he was kind of like your Ferris Bueller who nothing could go wrong for. I watched that show a lot, and that was very schoolish.
Yeah, well, way back there was a thing called Room 222.
Okay.
And that's when you'd have to go online somewhere to find it. But it was one of those things that took a very kind of serious approach to what school was all about and the teachers and their problems. And I think people like them more as comedies. They really know that school is a drama. But My Friday Night Lights.
There you go. There was a drama, and I never watched it because it was a little bit before my time, and I've kind of gone back, try to find it, but it's not really out there. Is The Paper Chase? I know that's more of a college level.
Well, it started as a movie,
right,
with John Houseman, and he won an Oscar for that. But then they tried to do it into a TV series, and it didn't last that many years.
Yeah.
But yeah, we hit that whole era where it became about the students.
Mm-hmm.
And we had things like 90210, Gossip Girl, The OC, Pretty Little Liars. These are all big things that, I had an audience. They were popular. Even if you look back at something like uh, My World and Welcome to It goes way back to those kinds of things, and he was an artist. But The Wonder Years was
Oh
a good,
yeah. Yeah.
school in a way that we could laugh at it, where they were in PE classes and they were having problems, and the coach was kind of an oddball, and the kids made fun of him. Those were things that hit at a certain era. Now I don't know that the era is there. We see a lot of sex shows,
Mm-hmm.
Sex Education, which was one that was on a streaming, or Euphoria, another one,
Right. Well, that's yeah.
that
That's a
that gives you a whole other look at school that maybe isn't what we want to think of it. But yeah, so there are a lot of things. But Abbott Elementary is the one that's kind of carrying the
sure.
torch now. And it gives us a good chance to see problems that are happening in the school business. And we
Mm-hmm.
also get to see what the private lives of teachers are like. That was
Yeah.
always a cool thing. I remember as a kid having to go to the school lounge. You know how they had a teacher's lounge? And I had to go and deliver something to the school lounge. And so I knocked on the door, and the door opened. It was so blue from all of the smoke in there, from the teachers just smoking up a storm. I thought, oh, wow, I didn't realize this is what they do during their breaks. They're having a cigarette, right? Because you don't think the teachers smoke at all. Well, and Abbott Elementary is one of those ones that gives us that little extra
Yeah.
look at things. It also is touching on issues that are popular today or important today in schools, where banning books, um, not enough funding for the things that teachers need in education. And I did get to visit the set of Abbott Elementary, and it looks exactly like a school. Exactly. They have the closed sets where they walk around with handheld cameras, so they
Oh
get
yeah.
that kind of a mockumentary feel to the whole thing. But it feels like you're actually in a school, because there are walls and the water runs and works. There are bulletin board things in the hallways. It's amazing how realistic it looks. So when you watch it on TV, just know it seems like you're back at school.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's funny you bring up the smoking, and because like, do teachers smoke really? Oh my goodness, do they? My freshman year of high school was the last year my school, or the school district that I went to, allowed smoking on school grounds, because there was, in the 90s, that's kind of where you really started getting into a lot of smoking bans and cutbacks. So my freshman year of high school, though, was before that ban, and between classes, they had no restrictions on smoking. Like, you couldn't smoke in the building, but
Sure.
beyond that, you can go outside and smoke. And that meant, so you'd be between classes, and you would see both teachers and students run outside to burn a heater before you get back to next. So you'd see like your science teacher, and then some kid who was like smoking at 15 years old,
Right.
lighting up together.
When I was in high school, we had a
Crazy.
big push to have a student smoking lounge, because we lived in like the tundra. It was colder than
Okay.
you can imagine. And they wanted to be indoors to smoke.
Yeah.
And it was a huge issue, and we never did get it passed.
Well, smoking's terrible for you,
I,
Bruce.
but in those days, we didn't know.
You
Right?
didn't know, but I tell that story to people now, and there's like, really, people could still go out and smoke between,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it really wasn't that long ago. Like, it's a while ago, like it's a long time ago, but it was, yeah. I mean, it's just that our smoking laws have really only been the last 25 years or so, 30 years.
And then we churned butter.
Yes. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but in
Yeah.
those days, also, you got to look at it this way: the life expectancy wasn't that long.
That's right.
So, you figure if they're out by 60, they can have a cigarette now. It's all
Yeah.
right. It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've got on this new show, English Teacher.
Okay.
It's set in the South. It's set in Texas. And it's about an English teacher, right? He's trying to reach the kids who are smarter than most who are in his English class, but there are all these other outside elements that want to derail him in his teaching career. One of the big things is the parent who is like on everything that he does. My son did not get a high enough grade. I want this changed. And if you won't change it, I'll get your job. That kind of stuff. So it's a very interesting look at this. Brian Jordan Alvarez, and you might know him from some of his online things he's done. He's done a lot of Instagram and TikTok and whatnot, series and mini series and little things like that. But he was thrown an opportunity and took it and decided to create his own series. And the reason it's English Teacher is because he comes from a family of English teachers, and he had a very good English department at his school when he was growing up. So here's an interview I did with Brian Jordan Alvarez, the star of English Teacher. So how long have you been working on this? Has this been something that's...
Since 2020, or 2021, 2021, around that.
And did you say, I need to create my own things or else I'm not going to...
Well, I was sort of already doing that. I had made a show starring myself and that I directed and wrote, and I put it on YouTube many years ago, I think 8 years ago now. And that's what Paul Sims, this brilliant writer and producer, that's what he saw that made him come to me and say, let's do something together. And it's just, it's a real destiny call, you know. He really was saying, I'll guide you. And I knew it was a serious offer, and he has never let me down. He's an amazing guy.
But you end up being the straight guy for all these other people.
In this show.
Yeah.
Sure.
Was that by design? Did you say, because look at how you can steal a show.
Oh, thanks so much. No, well, you know, I'm an actor. I mean, I'm an actor. I love playing a variety of roles. This one maybe uses a more casual or central part of my personality, but you know, he's still different from me in some ways. Evan is a bit of a neurotic character. He's somebody who's always trying to do the right thing, but often getting it wrong in his methods. But yeah, I enjoy acting in all of its different iterations. So I love playing strong characters, and I love, you know, playing things closer to myself too. I love being the Julia Roberts, and I love being the Meryl Streep too. Yeah.
You can have
or the Brian Jordan Alvarez.
Bring it all. Why an English teacher?
Well, I think I just knew if I was a teacher, I would be an English teacher. My high school had a very strong English program. I went to a high school for 3 years of my high school experience called St. Andrew Sewanee, and they have just a really rich English program. And it was a kind of an intellectual place where the coolest kids were the most intelligent and academically advanced kids. So it created a real passion for writing and for, you know, English and for reading in me. And yeah, it just made sense. And I thought this was such an interesting environment where people are forced to deal with people from every part of life, you know, and they're all working together for this common goal of educating these kids. And it's just an environment with a lot of natural friction and a lot of natural comedy.
Do you have like an inn that you go somewhere and kind of observe, and then you get those things? Or do you have friends who are teachers and they...
My mom is a teacher, my sister's a teacher, I have some friends who are teachers. I think a lot of it, though, I'm just absorbing from being online a lot. You know, I'm big on TikTok. I spend a lot of time on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. And so I just sort of, I see the way the culture moves, and I think it's cool to put that into a show.
The idea, though, that the parents are getting involved in saying, no, the grade should be this.
Yeah.
I see that. I see that all the
Parents'
time.
rights.
Yeah, and what is it? Linda Harrison.
Linda Harrison, that's right.
She is a fabulous character.
I know, and that actress is unbelievable.
Does she come
Jen
back?
Lyon. In this season, no spoilers, but I'll say in future seasons, you know, God willing, I'd be just as excited as you to see Linda Harrison come back.
She pops. It's like
She's a fantastic character, a fantastic actor. Jen Lyons, she's having a real moment right now, and I think it'll only get bigger and bigger.
Well,
I would love for her to.
And those parents that are almost overwhelming their children, is a real thing that we see today. And I don't think that they're able to go out on their own and do like you do.
Yeah, right.
And so I find that really strange that you're putting a spotlight on those people. And
yeah, I mean, one thing I love about the show is this feeling that Evan is getting it from every direction. So he's got to please the students, but he's also got to please the administration, but he's also got to please the parents. And all of those people are in conflict with each other usually. And so his desire to do the right thing is constantly being...
When you start giving him his friend circle, how did you decide what they were going to be and who they were going to be?
I mean, looking at my Instagram, you see, I see the world in characters in a lot of ways. I see characters, I imagine them, I can hear how they talk, and so it was just this sort of crew of funny teachers that came to mind. I think definitely the one that was clearest in my mind was Gwendolyn, who is played by my best friend Stephanie, and that was always the idea for me. And FX was so wonderful, just very ready to cast her because she's an amazing actress with an amazing resume already. We almost couldn't get her for scheduling reasons because she's, has a leading role on Lessons in Chemistry, and she was in the show The Offer and all this, she was on The Flight Attendant. But the scheduling ultimately did work out thanks to Jonathan Kreisel, texting the right people last minute. We got her for the pilot, and then, so I was so happy that she got to play that role, and I love the ensemble that appeared in the show, and Enrico Colantoni is such a privilege to work with. The second I saw his audition tape, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this guy. I remember this guy from this and this and this. And his tape was his hands were on his face like he was playing this principal who just could not deal with one more problem. And I was like, watching this performance is addictive. I have to have this guy. We didn't even... there was no callback. We just cast him.
So why did you want to be on television when you have
Who doesn't?
No, but you know what I mean? You've cracked the code for new media.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
So then why do you feel that this is important to be?
I like to do it all, that's so sweet of you to say. And it is an interesting thing, having a lot of success online and the ways in which that translates, the ways in which that doesn't translate. And, I've always wanted to be on TV and in films, and I have been. I did a lot of Will and Grace. I had done Jane the Virgin before that. Megan, I'm in Megan. I'm shooting the Megan sequel now. And I love it all. I love a great TV show. I love a great movie. I watched Prometheus by Ridley Scott in theaters, I think, 10 times, 12 times. Like, going to the cinema to me is an important experience too. And I love scrolling TikTok and Instagram. So I've always been a creative guy, and to me, what I've seen in my life is the more I can just sort of take the brakes off of my creativity and do whatever it is that's calling me at the moment, the better things go. Because there have been times when I've tried to think, well, let me just do this. Let me just be an actor. And I was sort of in that phase when Paul Simms called me. I was saying, I don't know about trying to make something right now. And the truth is, I do have abilities in this space that I should be using, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to make something like this with so many brilliant creators.
Thanks again for that interview, Bruce. Might be another show for me to check out because how much I love these FX programs. These FX, they go right to Hulu, and I don't have to worry about recording them or anything. They're right there for me.
They're there for you at all times. But I think you'll like it. It's a short run, so you'll get a sense of what the arc is in the story, even though each one stands alone. But it is fascinating, and I enjoyed it. It's going to be one of my picks for the fall TV season.
Nice. Is this? We didn't talk about this because shows today you just never know. Like, how many episodes? Do you know how many episodes this one's going to be?
I believe it's 8 to 10, 8 or 10.
Okay, and is this just a limited series, or is this like So, or is this one of those like it's limited, but then when everybody loves it, all of a sudden
it's a series.
Season 2. It is a series.
It's show. No, it's one of those. Yeah, it's going to if it does well, come back for a second season.
Okay, all right, because that's always what holds me up from watching anything these days is don't give me that stupid cliffhanger and then the show doesn't, like Acolyte, Star Wars just canceled. They left it on a cliffhanger and now it's not coming back.
You won't have to worry, is he getting fired or is something like that going to happen? And then you don't find out because there are self-contained stories in each one of the episodes.
Okay.
All right. That
well, might be fun. Might be fun to check out.
We're starting the fall TV season. So we're going to be talking about a lot of these new shows. We are also starting a new streaming service, H+. H+ is a Hallmark Channel streaming service that is going to be a little more adult than most of the ones that you've seen on the Hallmark Channel.
Okay.
And you'll get points so you can get free greeting cards. I mean, it's a whole bunch of stuff built in. Yeah. One of their first new series is called Chicken Sisters. And the Chicken Sisters is about two sisters who have rival chicken restaurants. Now you go, oh, this is going to be good, right? Funny. It was funny, and it twists and turns. I can't tell you who I hate and who I like because one week you hate them and the next week you like them. But I do have interviews with all the stars of that, and we'll bring that to you in a coming week. We also have Jeff Bridges coming back for a second season of The Old Man.
Nice.
Yeah, and so there are a number of ones that are in the pipeline, but it's just a matter of waiting for the time for the shows to premiere. And then I have one that I think I teased before, the American Sports Story about Aaron Hernandez.
That's right,
that's coming up, and you don't want to miss those kinds of things. But a lot of new series will be premiering pretty soon. They will stretch it out through November. So now, it used to be I would set a week and you'd know that was premiere week, and you would set your TV guide by the whole thing and make sure you watched all these things. Now it's hit and miss. You'll be seeing a new fall show in January. That's how strange these things
is. I actually just added The Old Man to my watch list. Is that show any good? What are your thoughts on that one?
Yes. What's amazing is how much of it took place in a car, where it's basically John Lithgow and Jeff Bridges talking and kind of reflecting on life. And when they were making the first season, the director didn't know when to cut them off, because after they'd done the scene, the two started talking so much just about their own careers that he didn't want to stop them because it was good stuff.
Okay.
So you'll see what it's, but do watch it, man, you'll like it.
Sounds like the type of show, sitting in a car and talking. It sounds like a show that I would love, and my wife will fall asleep in about 5 minutes, and then she's like, "What are we watching? This is terrible." That's just I can tell you that's the reaction I usually get.
This is the 4th episode. You started with the first, right?
So, and then you mentioned teachers and stuff. Well, what is your favorite show with the chicken restaurant in it all time?
Yeah, that's a good question, because how many have there been?
Well, I can name one. My favorite chicken restaurant ever in a series, also Breaking Bad theme, Los Pollos Hermanos.
Oh. All right. Now I can go one better.
Oh yeah.
At a press thing for Breaking Bad.
Okay.
And it's spin-off. We're talking about we're bringing some characters into this next one, and they came out and brought the chicken in a box with the logo and all that on it. Somewhere I think I did keep the logo, but the chicken was chicken.
It was just KFC or something. They picked it up and then they threw it in the boxes. Yeah.
But the logo was good.
All right. On that tasty note, thank you again for listening, and we will be back again next week with another episode of Streamed and Screened.